Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Tigers Franchise. This is our long-term franchise here on YouTube. And when I last left you, we were on May 1st, and we've gotten quite a bit further since then. It is now September 1st. I feel like the early seasons, especially with a clear rebuild, that it would take a miracle to kind of compete. There's no sense slow playing that first season. You're hoping for some guys to pop up, maybe make a few moves here and there, waiver wire, trade, however you want to do it. But for the most part, you're just kind of getting through it. And that's how I played this one, because I did most of it offline, as you can, of course, see. If you're looking and you know where to look, it's September 1st. I'm not going to hide it. It's up there. There's the record. You can see all that. I'm not too worried about y'all seeing that. There's no surprises here. It's been a regular bad season, I think. But a lot of things have happened. I want to take you through that. Like I said, it was May 1st when I last left y'all. May 5th, just a few days later, we made two moves. We claimed Jesus Sanchez and Manuel Valdez off of waivers. Now, Jesus Sanchez is an interesting outfielder from the Marlins. They exposed him there, and I didn't spell Jesus right, so you're not going to be able to find him when you do that, Paul. Here he is. He's still with the ball club, and he had like an average season. In fact, he was pretty much the same guy that he was with the Marlins, but for whatever reason, their offensive starved team figured that they couldn't use him. I know he's out of options, but if I'm them, I'm finding a way to make sure that he sticks around. A 60 power, I mean, come on. So he's come over, 343 plate appearances, put up 15 homers, a respectable 766 OPS. We'll take that. That's fine. It hasn't been special, hasn't been bad. 25 years old, about to be 26 in the offseason. We'll kind of see where it goes from there. Then we also picked up Manuel Valdez, and I think that was from Boston. Now, I mentioned that Sanchez is still on the team with good reason, because I knew that Valdez wasn't. So he's already moved on. We kept him for a while. We actually demoted Akil Baddoo and Nick Maton at that moment. They've since been re-promoted, of course, Valdez being gone, cleared a spot. And we've had all sorts of things happen in the subsequent several months. But Valdez, for us, he was a 79 WRC plus after putting up a 96 with Boston. Now, it was 20 plate appearances with Boston. There is nothing to put in a 20 plate appearance sample. Hell, there's not much to put in a 112 plate appearance sample. And then you can see here he's come with Baltimore and gotten a lot better with a 108 WRC plus and 139 plate appearances. Add it all up, and he has a 95 on the year, so about a league average type of player. He has some okay outfield defense in the corners. He's strained a bit on the infield, but kind of your standard 25th, 26th type of guy. We did go ahead and trade him to Baltimore here, and that deal was for Drew Rom. Old CD-ROM. If you watch my Twitch shows, we had CD-ROM with the Expos, I believe, and we nicknamed that because, I mean, his last name's Rom. It really wasn't that deep or creative, if I'm being honest. But I like CD-ROM. He's an interesting lefty. Sorry, there, accidental click. And he's got some good stuff. 55 stuff, not too bad. 50 movement, 45 control with a chance to get up to 50. Holds runners like you wouldn't believe, and has 45 stamina, so can be used in a bit of a lengthier role there if you see fit. Now, you can see that the pitches are really good, despite the stuff only being 55. That's because the velo is a bit low. So, there's a world where maybe he could add a tick of velo. He is only 23 years old, and then he could really become something out of the bullpen, maybe a lefty stopper in his future. He's been in Toledo, absolutely dominating. 37% strikeout minus walk ratio in 25 innings. That is fantastic. Small sample or not, that is some quality work there from CD-ROM. So I thought that was a nice one-for-one move. Clears a spot on the 40 and on the 26, to be honest. It was really about kind of moving Valdez off because he really wasn't doing anything, and I wanted to bring Baddoo back up. Or I think it was Maton at the moment, and then Baddoo eventually made his way back up. I eventually got rid of Chasen Shreve. I didn't mark the date for that because, come on, because who cares? Actually, I think this was when I demoted him. I cut him later. In fact, I did. Yes, I'm a bad person. I demoted him in May because it's the next thing on the list here. So it was probably in May, and then I cut him on his birthday because I'm just a mean person. Let's see when we knocked him down. Oh, it doesn't say when we sent him down, but yeah, we sent him down sometime in May or June. I think May, because again, going on the timeline here, that's my guess, because there's two more bullet points before we get to what I labeled as a laborious June, because it didn't go very well. So sometime in May, I sent him down, and then on July 12th, his birthday, I murked him. Sorry, Chasen, it had to be done. He linked up with the Rockies organization, and he's working his way through their low minors. Now he's in AAA. Good luck with all that, buddy. We wish you the best. At least you have the 55 movement. If he's going to succeed there at all, you got to have some movement, so that will help. Miggy had the audacity to email us that he wants out. Boy, that is something there. Love Miguel Cabrera. Obviously a brilliant player, an Inner Circle Hall of Famer, one of the best of his era. And here we are at the end of his career. It's not going well. And he has the audacity to say, I'll be blunt, this team's going nowhere and I want out. You're part of why it's going nowhere. We're spending so much money on you and you're terrible. He has been so bad this year. He's a 5 WRC plus. I never play him. He very rarely gets in. I was benching him for like 15 days at a time, a couple times early in the season. I stopped doing that because I was like, all right, well, if they need a player, I don't want tired guys playing and possibly getting hurt or anything. So I stopped doing that sort of stuff. But I mean, it's been dreadful. Please, 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 please retire. I love you, Miggy. I don't fault you for getting this money. That was Mike Ilitch giving you money well before he needed to, kind of showing his love for you and JV. JV's wasn't so bad. Obviously, Miggy's went the wrong way there, but please, for the love of God, retire. Zach McKinstry went out for 5 to 6 weeks. I'm a big Zach McKinstry fan, just in real life. Liked him back with the Dodgers. Kind of happy that he's with the Tigers and playing pretty well in real life. So he was out for a good bit. He's come back, and he's actually had a pretty nice season. 329 plate appearances with a 134 WRC plus. Nice solid 2.5 win campaign. Quality defender, decent hitter, overcoming his strikeout problem because it's a 40 avoid K, 29% K rate, but 10% walk rate, and that's at AAA. 25% strikeout rate, 8% walk rate at the major league level. That's a combo that can work, and you're seeing it work here. The BABIP is pretty high at 371, so that's certainly helping him put up the quality season. But hey, it's been a nice little year for McKinstry despite getting hurt, and I love it. I did mention that we had a laborious June, and we can get into that, and I'll let you know that it was an 11 and 16 month. And I highlighted it specifically because even at the moment, I made the timeline as it was going. It was our worst month, or actually I guess 10 and 17 for April was. But we had bounced back with a 14 and 14 May. Then we had this bad month. Little did I know when I wrote that it was a bad June that our next 2 months would be a couple games over 500. Look at us, not too bad. And frankly, that's what I like to see. That's all I'm kind of hoping for out of the Tigers this year. Maybe a couple down months, but maybe some over 500 or some 500 months. Just play competitive baseball. And speaking of, they have been lately. I feel like they've been doing all right, doing some things. They play the White Sox again today. Did they win last night? Why can I not remember if they won on Friday night? I actually recorded episode 2, they got pummeled on Friday night. I recorded a bunch of what was going to be episode 2. Turned out the music was entirely too loud, so it was unusable. So I'm recording this all on Saturday before games get going and into all of that. So anyway, then in June we acquired Nabil Crismont off of waivers. Now, Nabil Crismont gets waived in every single sim I see. The Padres have no use for him, apparently. He's a decent arm. I've turned him into something before. It was not to be with our ball club, unfortunately. In fact, he's a free agent right now. We tried him in a few different roles, a little bit of starting, a little bit of relieving. Nothing was really popping off for Nabil Crismont. And so, as you can see, even as a reliever, it just wasn't there. Now, he did have a 13% strikeout minus walk, so he deserved better than a 7.16 ERA. But BABIP was pretty high, home run rate was pretty high. It just wasn't working. And I just recently cut him. He was released on 8/29. So it's actually only been 3 days since he's been available. That's why he doesn't have a team. He might latch on with somebody. It just didn't quite work. No harm, no foul there. I shifted Joey Wentz to stopper in June. You guys know, if you follow my channel, but whether here or on Twitch, twitch.tv/Spore, that I love the stopper role. It's cheat code. It's amazing. It's a great way to get extra innings out of your premier relievers, and I'm obsessed with it. So we put Joey Wentz there, hoping that maybe he could be like a premier lefty out of the bullpen, and it was okay. It really was. But, 40 control really makes you volatile. And you can see here from the splits that 10% walk rate still kind of capped his ability. He put up a 376 ERA, but a 146 whip is bad. And it was just hard, even with the decent ERA. That's a decent starter ERA, not so much as a reliever. However, the stopper role is kind of an in-between. I don't think you need to have reliever-esque ERAs to be considered good as a stopper, because you're throwing many more innings. And as you can see right here, he had 76 and 2/3 in 47 appearances. So he's going over an inning, 2, sometimes 3, I would imagine, innings per. And so then the ERA requirements are a bit lower. When you're that 1-inning guy, the expectations are for you to have like a low 3s ERA or better to be a premier reliever. So this wasn't too bad. I've subsequently moved him back to starting very recently, just because we need somebody in there. In fact, I just did it when I made the Krismot move, so he hasn't made a start since then. But Joey Wentz, would love to see him develop a little bit, both in real life and with us. That command is a problem. It hurts him in real life. It's hurting him in the game. Unless he gets that to 45, if not 50, it's going to be hard for him to really deliver. Then came a really interesting trade that was offered to us, and I was like, hey, this seems pretty nice. I don't know if it'll show the email, and it'll be an expired email maybe. Trade proposal from the Braves. Here it is. Jared Schuster for Michael Lorenzen and Troy Melton. And I was like, okay, this is a nice young lefty, 25 years old, turned 25 during the season here just about a month ago. Has an issue with movement and fly ball pitchers. That's not a great combo, but if there's a park that can hold it, Comerica is that park. Didn't need to be on the 40. This seemed like a no-brainer move to me. So I went ahead, pulled the trigger on it. The Braves wanted it. They got it. Michael Lorenzen for them ended up putting up more or less what he was doing with us. He's been in more of a hybrid role for them. It was 15 starts with us, and he was doing okay. But he's 31 years old. He's not part of the future. This just made slam dunk sense. And Troy Melton, nothing particularly special. A decent little arm there. But again, I think the 25-year-old who's going to be at AAA with some upside for a 31-year-old and a little bit more of a lottery ticket pitcher in Melton, I thought that was a pretty good deal. Although I will say, second look here at Melton, has he developed at all? Because I'm like, he's a little bit better than I thought he was. But maybe he was closer to the... No, we made the trade in June. So he would have been around this scouting report, the 5.5 one, which is 45, 35, 40. And he's now 45, 40, 40. So he has developed a little bit on the movement. I don't regret it, though. I think Schuster was a nice pickup. Happy with it. And like I said, he's been in AAA, hanging out there. Not having a great year, but not having a terrible year either. A little bit of development. And he could end up becoming the lefty stopper. Give me a little 50 on that movement. I'll put him back there, no doubt. Then came the All-Star break. We did have 2 All-Stars, believe it or not. Eduardo Rodriguez and Alex Lang. In the Futures game, we had Colt Keith. Let's take a look at prospect Colt Keith. Oh, that was a monstrous way to spell Keith there. My fingers just vomited all over the keys. Colt Keith is with Erie right now. He should probably be called up. He's in a good mood, though, so he's not bothered by it. Probably should be at AAA. But AAA is a little heavy on players, although I think they're in the playoff hunt, so maybe I will make that move. He's in search of a defensive spot. Doesn't really have one. That's the tough part about him. This is very true to real life. He hasn't developed out of a position here. This is what it's looking like. But if he hits his hitting potentials, Colt Keith is going to be a nice little hitter. You bounce around, that standard utility player that plays everywhere just to kind of hide him. And maybe, just maybe, we can kind of hide him at third. If you can get a little bit better, give me a little bit on the range or air. He's 22 years old, just turned 22. We can get him there, and then he's a 50 at third. And then I'm not so bothered by it. Eduardo Rodriguez and Alex Lang were the 2 All-Stars that we had. Let's take a look at Alex Lang. Our closer, he's in the right-handed stoppers role. He's been awesome. 196 ERA, 0.99 WHIP. Just a brilliant year for him overall. 91 and 2/3 innings in 71 appearances. Had 71 appearances last year, 63 innings. Perfect encapsulation of what I'm talking about with regards to that stoppers role and why I like it so much. Alex Lang has been a G. And I'm purposely not covering our other All-Star because more on him in a moment. Then came the draft, and I've got notes on the draft. So let's go ahead and get into that here. Got my little handy-dandy note over here. That's why I keep looking this way. So we're going to go over the first 5 rounds. We obviously had a premium pick. First 5 rounds will encompass 6 picks, though, because we did have a supplemental pick. Who was that for? Why did the Tigers have a supplemental pick? I actually don't know. I'm not going to look it up right now because I'm trying to stay on task here. But if you know, please put it in the comments. So, first round. Here's who I wanted, and we didn't get him, so I'm going to go right to him. Paul Skeens. First off, I'll draft anyone named Paul. Oh, they didn't sign him, or they haven't signed him yet? Okay, the Pirates haven't signed him yet because he's not technically on them. If they fail this, oh my God. If they fail, they're so dumb. They're so dumb. Because, I mean, he's going like AAA off rip. At the worst, AA. But, I mean, you probably just put him to AA or AAA right away. He's cooking over there. Wanted him to make it. He goes 1-1. That totally makes sense to me. Good on them. So then, who went to? I should remember. I don't. I did the draft a little while ago. So we had a couple things here. I was considering Bryce Eldridge, who is a two-way player, and I did not end up taking him. Spoiler alert. He goes to Minnesota. Interesting two-way player. Has some power, contact. I mean, it's a really interesting bat. It is funny that you would have that much contact, that much power, and no gap power. I can only hit homers. I can hit tons of homers, but don't ask me to hit a double. Interesting. While still being an interesting pitcher, too. I'm saying interesting a lot. But it is. Here's the thing. I never develop two-way players. I just don't. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if they're just really difficult to kind of thread that needle. That's probably it. But I don't do well with them, so I passed. And it looks like he went quite a bit later because Minnesota... Oh, wait, they have the... No. Yeah, I was going to say pick 5 I saw, but no. That's the supplemental. And I almost took him at 3. So I'm glad I didn't do that. Looks like I'd have been overdrafting him quite a bit there with Bryce Eldridge. So then I looked at Max Clark, and I was like, you know what? This might be our guy here. Max Clark, absolute stud out of Vandy. The plate profile, the hitting profile is obscene. He's a true fielder of all 3 outfield positions, up to a 55 in center, 75, 70 in left and right respectively, a little bit of base running. I mean, it's a do everything kind of guy. It's Vandy, right? They've been churning him out left and right. Everything was there. Take Max Clark, all done, right? Pair him with Riley Green, and if Austin Meadows is upright and healthy, you got 3 lefty badass outfielders. Not so fast, my friend. Our buddy wanted money. He wanted 11.5 mil, I think, and we had 12 mil budgeted. I couldn't do it. Just entirely too much money for what we were trying to do. We didn't really have any extra either. Sometimes you got a little extra money sitting there. You feel like I can go over the allocated budget. We did not have that luxury. I couldn't do it, especially with that supplemental pick on deck. What if I'm backing myself into a corner where we can only take like $50,000 players or something like that? So I was kind of worried there, and I was like, I can't really do it with Clark. So then, who did we land on? I did the recommendation. Always want to see what our guy thinks, and he said Eric Batanti, and I was like, okay, let's take a look at Eric Batanti. And spoiler alert, that's who we picked. It's kind of hard to show the recommendation and then the pick without showing whether or not we picked them. We did end up following the recommendation to go Eric Batanti. It was a much more affordable price at $1.2 million. We took him as the 3rd overall pick. He's got a great profile. The hitting is absolutely there. It's a little bit off of Max Clark's, but not so egregiously that we can't have ourselves a great player here. He's 17 years old, which I think is 2 years younger than Clark. No, just 1. But the avoid K is a little bit worse. The gap's a little bit worse, but the actual home run power is exponentially better. He struggles defensively, Batanti does, relative to what we're talking about with Max Clark, where he doesn't look like a great fit at anywhere on the infield. I mean, 3rd, 50 rating, if he gets there, okay, that's fine, but he's not standout. And if you're already kind of tracking toward 50, 45 at age 17, let's hope it can get better, but there's no guarantees there. But it's a long way out. 17 years old, not going to turn 18 until the offseason. He did have 90 potential, too, which was higher than Clark's, I think, right? Yeah, Clark was only a 70, although I don't really agree. I don't see how this is only a 70 potential, and then this is a 90. Unless I'm just underrating the home run power, and that's probably it, because 70 home run power versus 50 is pretty massive. But Batanti was our guy. I'm happy with getting him. I've seen him pan out in other sims, either content creators that I'm watching on Twitch, YouTube, or just as part of my universe where he didn't land on my team, but he's out there cooking. And he can play a corner as well. So we have the defensive flexibility to kind of put Batanti where we want. Excited to see what he can do. He's actually hitting pretty well off rip too, because that is rare. I feel like my draftees get here and they just put up like a 4 WRC plus that first year. I'm never really bothered by it, but it's nice to see Batanti out there and raking. Got 100 plate appearances, 97 to be exact, and should get a few more. I don't know if their season at rookie ball goes all the way through the regular season year, but if so, then he's got another month to put up some extra work. Then in the supplemental round, I was looking at a few different guys. One guy that stood out was Jared Best. Now, hang on, let me get to, you know what, let me go to Dylan Cup first, pardon me. Dylan Cup was recommended, or was out there, and I was like, he looks pretty darn good. Great infielder, really liked that aspect of him. Solid base runner, nice little hitter. This is a good pick. I could definitely get behind Dylan Cup. Now, the main reason that I didn't was there's a couple other guys that I liked, and I was kind of hoping that Cup would fall to the second round. He did not. As you can see, he went supplemental round, pick 41. I forget what ours was, but we're going to find out here in a minute when I pick the guy. So there was another guy that was recommended, or that was up there, not recommended. He was up near the top. The guy that was picked is who was recommended. And I was like, man, I could go for this guy. I'm going to spoil this. We ended up getting this guy later. So we're going to jump ahead in the draft really quick to round 4 for a guy we almost took at the supplemental first round, and that's Jared Best. Jared, not his name. I don't even know our players' names, y'all. They're going to hate me. Justin Best. I'm the worst. Anyway, we took Justin Best in the 4th round, pick 107, and here we are considering him in the sup round because quality hitting profile, a decent corner at best, okay? I don't want to overstate the defense and speed. It's not really there, but a nice hitting profile. I was like, this is a solid hitter. I can get behind this. And my dude wanted peanuts. And I was like, maybe we save some money here. If someone drops in the 2nd round, we go ahead and take them. But I couldn't quite get there. And like I said, he wanted $75,000. I was like, okay, I can definitely do this. Sign me up for that. And eventually he kept falling. We get him in the 4th round. So that was a coup. I felt really good about that, even though I don't even know his name. I'm an idiot. Justin Best. Justin, not Jared. Now, who did we end up taking? The recommendation was Campbell Smithwick. We decided, you know what? Our scout knows what's up. We took old Soup here, a big-time hitting catcher, with some okay defense. I prefer higher than 55 ability, but when you're talking about an 18-year-old, and I think he was 17 when we drafted him, let's see, his birthday is July 3rd. No, he would have just turned 18. So still very young, can develop, I'm hoping. You know, I wish we would have seen a personality where the work ethic or adaptability, intelligence, where one of those was identified already, but maybe it's in there, right? It says always curious and asking questions. Maybe he's got a good personality to develop a bit more, because if we could get this catching ability up to 60 or better, we could be in for something big here at pick 37 with Campbell Smithwick. Now, he's unhappy. I wonder, because of the team record. Well, get used to it. My minor league teams always suck. He's also hit the ground running with a 112 WRC plus, so we love to see it. I love the plate profile, the contact, not a ton of power, but he can develop into it, man. I think Campbell Smithwick has some really high upside here. Loved getting him at pick 37. And as you can see, Dylan Cup, I mentioned, went 41. So another guy that we heavily considered went 4 picks later there. And then the other guy we considered landed on our team in the 4th round. So then came the 2nd round. I went pretty quick on this one. The recommendation was Willie Gasparino, or William Gasparino, I believe. Will, just Will, sorry. Oh, he has not signed yet either. He ended up falling to the 6th. Wow, so that was the recommendation. Good reco. I just didn't love it. Low work ethic, I'm just not gonna do it at this round level. There's just, I don't even know what profile it would take for me to take a low work ethic draftee this early. I am not afraid of low work ethic guys overall. I used to be. I've softened a bit on them as an idea. And what I mean by that is upper minors, high rated prospect, already kind of showing some development, I'll take on that guy, let alone in the majors if they're already good. Because it doesn't preclude them from success. But when I need them to develop, I don't want somebody with low work ethic, because I just think that's going to make it really difficult to develop them. So Billy Gass, as we call him, because we did take him with our Arizona Diamondbacks in the draft, and I think he had a similar profile. He did have a 70 potential according to our scout, so that's why they were recommending him, but he goes all the way down to the 6th round, and I just didn't think that this was the right guy for us with the low work ethic. So I ended up going my own route here, and I didn't really go too deep on this one. Best was still there. I was considering him. As you well know, I got him later. And then a guy named Caraway, Trent Caraway, as you can see, spoiler alert, we did get him later. I liked him, and I was like, you know what? He's got some big pop here. He was the best power left. There were a couple other 65s, and he had a good personality. I was like, maybe he'll fall. And as you can see, of course, he did. We took him at pick 75. So then who did I land on? I landed on a guy named Parker Pico, which is a cool name, Parker Pico. And he's just kind of a utility type, doesn't have great defense. We're hoping, obviously, that that can develop a bit. You see our scout likes the defense better than OSA, likes everything a bit better than OSA. Great plate skills, heavy contact, local boy. Figured all of it kind of played out pretty nicely here. I liked him at pick 53. He has not been off to a huge start at 79 WRC+. I'm not too worried about it, as I've mentioned. So Parker Pico was the guy there, and ended up being fairly priced at 1.8 mil. Not too bad. So then in the 3rd round, we went, another reco was this guy, Graziano, and he's another low work ethic guy, Michael Graziano. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Stop. I get it. It's an all green hitting potential with decent corner outfield ability, stretched in center. If you needed him to, he could be there for a fill-in for a week here, a week there, but you want him on a corner for sure. I don't mind the hitting profile, don't get me wrong there, but again, I don't need to give you the same spiel on low work ethic. I'm just not doing it. And as you well know, we did take Caraway, so we can go back to Trent Caraway real quick and show you how that went. Trent Caraway, again, big time power, potential at 65. Sometimes you get a few rounds into the draft and it's like, just let me get the big power and just see where it goes, because that is such a great carrying tool to have. It can do so much for your profile, and worst case is you can just trade a high power guy and just say, you know what, they're going to develop how they're going to develop, but that big time power will make them viable in the trade market. So we just went that route pretty easily there. And then, as you know, in the 4th round, we eventually took Justin Best. I would never call him anything besides Justin, because that's clearly his name. Duh. Figure it out, y'all. That was y'all who said that. And as you know, solid profile, good adaptability, corner outfielder. Nothing overly special, but for this price too, $75,000, done and done. There was a couple other guys I was looking at. Pitcher named Randall. I wrote the last names. I didn't write down all the first names. Cooper Randall. Actually, that was actually, no, it's not Cooper Randall, is it? Is it Scott? What Randall is it? Maybe it is Cooper. Is it this guy where you just drafted? No, it's not him. I'm sorry, I'm clowning. Cal Randall. It was Cal Randall. So he went in the 4th round here, which was the round that we were considering him. And he was the last high-end stuff pitcher. You see it pans out to a potential 70. And I was like, maybe we just get him. Again, similar to the power for hitters, just take the high stuff, see what happens. Maybe he ends up being a fastball, curveball reliever. He's a side armor too, which is kind of interesting. I passed, obviously, because we took Best. That was the recommendation as well. And I thought it was a solid recommendation. No shade to our scout. I liked it. There was another guy I looked at too, and you're going to find out that we did end up getting him. So spoiler alert, I looked at Colton Hartman, and I was like, I love the personality. It is like literally the best you can get. All the high-end stuff is good, and except for the greed. So it's not the best you could get. Low greed with all of this would be the best, but it's pretty damn good. I'll take a greedy guy who has this good of a personality with some skills. It's not a special profile, but we're hoping that this personality can help him develop a bit. So I was like, hopefully he makes it back to the 5th round, and we'll be fine with it. Of course he did. You can see he's on our team. So we took Best in the 4th, Hartman in the 5th. So those were our top 6 picks in the top 5 rounds of the draft. Let me see. I can get to the history and show the draft completely? Sure can. So then we picked up a few other guys here that I kind of want to highlight. K.O. Lansville was, I think, our first pitcher of the draft, right? Yeah, our first pitcher in the 6th round. Still a solid arm, I thought. 20 years old, nothing over the top. I'm not going to keep saying that for everyone because we know by the 6th round, you're not getting guys that are immediately looking like they're going to be gems. But I figured there's enough here to work with. Let's go with him. Brandon Winokur was our 7th round pick. And he was nice hitting profile, utility type guy, leader, loyal, low adaptability. I always hate that for a utility guy though. Why are you low adaptability if you're a utility guy? That just doesn't seem to make any sense. You're kind of hurting yourself there because we're going to move you around. And if you're going to have a problem with it, well, go cry to somebody else because I don't care. Then we took a high-end arm or high upside arm with Magdi Elcado. Not showing much in the stuff movement control potential, but the big-time fastball, 95, 97, just a power arm, just seeing what we can maybe get. And that's really it that I wanted to... Oh, no, this guy, Goldner. Itai Goldner, just because of the defense. Solid glove, wish he didn't make so many errors, but I wonder if that's because the range is so good that sometimes he makes errors on plays that he gets to that nobody else would. And that was our 10th round pick. And then nothing else really jumped out right now, at least, in the rest of the rounds, except for one guy. Some of y'all may be familiar with him. You've seen him in your drafts. It stands out because his name is literally a letter. G. Allen was my 20th round pick. And the reason this stands out is because he's usually up near the top of the draft. He got a really bad draw in our world, or our scout hates him, but no, OSA hates him too. Like I said, he's usually somebody that's on the higher end of the first handful of rounds, good old G. Allen, and he was there in the 20th, so I said, all right, I'll do it, just because his name is G. Literally G. Not G-E-E, just the letter G. So that was the draft. I thought it went pretty well. I was pretty happy with how everything turned out there. Next up was the Matthew Boyd trade. Now, Matthew Boyd was back on a 1-year deal. He wasn't doing all that well for us, I don't believe. Traded him to the Reds. Yeah, 5.40 ERA, 150 whip. It was whatever, right? The homers are back. This is just how it's playing in real life too. There's no need to keep him. He's making 10 mil. He's a rental. So we made a trade with Cincinnati for Jose Hernandez. Oh, we also had to throw in somebody. Garrett something or other. Garrett Beerin, who has 30 movement. So he's 23 years old, about to be 24 in A-ball. So he was high A for us. So that felt like an easy trade. He's since been hurt, unfortunately. So we got Jose Hernandez, just a live arm, lefty, throwing 97, 99. You're not going to steal against him. He is a total reliever because his changeup sucks. But maybe there's a little something there. Maybe our guys can develop him just a little bit more. He's currently in the majors with a 3.57 ERA, 130 whip, 3.53 FIP. So playing right to his FIP. We love that. Figured that was a good trade. Next was the Emmanuel Valdez trade that I showed y'all earlier. I did show you who we got for him, right? Why can I not remember 10 minutes ago? Who did we get for him? Oh yeah, CD-ROM, duh. And then I cut Shreve. I cut Tyler Alexander and Jose Cisnero. They just weren't getting it done. I did pass on a deal that maybe y'all are going to think you should have done that. Let's pull up the White Sox real quick while we take a Red Bull swig. Yohan Moncada was offered to us for Eduardo Rodriguez. And we would have had to throw in one other guy, and we would have had to keep 55% of Erod. Now you can see that Moncada has money left too. So that didn't feel great about having to do that. He's not really doing that well. The profile looks nice. There's a lot of green, but what's he really delivering? So I ended up passing on this. I didn't really think it was the right deal. And I was just kind of resigned to keeping Eduardo Rodriguez because I was like, you know what? I'm not too worried about it. I'll just go ahead and keep him, and maybe he'll opt out because he was having a pretty solid year. And then the deal came on our plate that I will get to in just one second because I just realized I'm looking at the, the checklist here and realized I forgot a move. I'm sorry. I ended up trading Jonathan Scope. This would have been back in, based on where it is in the timeline, probably in middle of July during the break. We traded him on 7-11, so right around the break, trade deadline type of deal, or I mean, right around the All-Star break draft time. So we ended up trading Scope. He has no more time left on his deal, so another rental. Just wanted to see if we could get somebody better, and we did, and it was Matt Moore who we got and put him in our bullpen, and then I flipped him because I was like, I think he's a better asset to have than Scope, and I'll use the next 2 weeks to try to find a situation where I can trade Matt Moore for something, because Scope wasn't really generating much on the market outside of Matt Moore. So Moore's really good, but he's 34. He makes decent money. What good is he going to do us? And he did come in and he pitched okay. He walked too many guys, had a great ERA. It was a little bit fraudulent given that whip, but it's fine. He threw 6 2/3. No shade on Matt Moore. Love him. Always loved him as a prospect. Loved when the Tigers had him in real life back in the day too. Was hoping that we could maybe give him some sort of rebirth. It did not pan out that way. He threw 10 innings and then got hurt. So anyway, ended up flipping Matt Moore in a deadline deal. I think it was on deadline day. Let's see here. It was on the 29th, so just before, for Yansel Guerrero and Mike Antico, hook 'em horns. So we got Mike Antico, a high defensive, high speed outfielder prospect, a low end prospect, definitely like an org prospect, 25 years old, not much of a hitter, 4th outfielder, maybe 5th outfielder type. But by the way, is crushing in AAA this year, both with Memphis and with Toledo. So you love to see that. By the way, I keep saying Toledo like that because that's how George Kell and Al Kaline used to say it. And my dad and I always had a joke. And so I can't see or say Toledo without saying Toledo. I ain't going to send him down to Toledo for a 3-game set. Anyway, so yeah, I thought that trade was pretty good. Let me show you Guerrero as well. Sorry. I hate when you go back like that. It goes all the way back to searching for Scope. Why? That was not the last tab that anyway. Yansel Guerrero is also a decent little prospect, 19 years old. Let's just see if we can make anything out of him. I would have done it for Antico straight up. The fact that they threw in Guerrero, I was like, yes, please, thank you. We'll take him. We did throw him a little bit lower than they had him up at high A, but he really wasn't clicking in high A. So I figured go back to rookie, finish out the season there. I know he's unhappy about it. We'll probably move him up to back to A ball for the following year. But right now, he can hold short, probably better at second, but that was a throw-in part of the deal. Again, Antico was what I was looking for there, and that totally worked out. Now, to the Eduardo deal. This one kind of came together in a weird way, and the fact that like when I did a make this work now, Eduardo Rodriguez was the guy, surprised me. But there were no strings attached with it, so I did it. And I traded him to the Angels. The Angels were our trade partners here in this sim so far because we just did that last trade with them. So he ends up going to LA, by the way, and really fell on his face. He was pitching brilliantly for us, so we didn't sell them, some schmuck that we knew wasn't going to do anything for them. It's not our fault that he didn't do well once he went there. Now this ended up being a bit of a big deal, where we were kind of dumping some guys. I was kind of trying to tighten things up and consolidate the roster a little bit, and all I was going for was Chase Silseth. So we're kind of working it. They wanted Peyton Graham, who is a second rounder from last year, I think. Yeah, from the 2022 draft. Little tinge of prospect capability. And I was like, okay, well, what are we going to do there? I want to get Errol Vera. I feel like a lot of us in the OOTP community get Errol Vera. He's like often available. For whatever reason, the Angels don't want him. He's a decent prospect himself, kind of in that Guerrero camp of like he can handle short. He also has the work ethic and intelligence, but not much of a bat. So I was like, okay, well, what can we do there? Then I hit the make this work now. And like I said, Eduardo came up, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. So Holton and Wingenter, that's whatever. Those are late 20s relievers. Holton's 27. Wingenter's 29. But it's really Graham, Andre Leon, and Eduardo Rodriguez for Silseth and Errol Vera. Now, Silseth is one of my favorite pitching prospects in real life. I just really like him. He hasn't really shown a whole lot in real life, but he's shown flashes. I believe that he has enough capability to be a pretty good starter. We'll see if that can happen in the sim. We'll see if that can happen in real life. But I like him, so I go out chasing him a lot in my sims. We were able to get him. Here's what he's been doing for us. 2.27 ERA, 0.98 whip. This is an unveiling for me too. I didn't know he was doing that well. I just threw him in the rotation. I was like, whatever, he can put up a 5 ERA. I just wanted to get some reps. Turns out he's actually cooking. Now he's well above his level, even from a FIP standpoint, but definitely from a rating standpoint. But hey, that's okay. He's 23. Finish out the season. Do your thing. I think at worst, he could be a badass stopper for us. At worst. Gonna need to improve a bit, but he's 23. I think he can, and I loved that deal. Now, part of me was like feeling a little off about trading Eduardo Rodriguez to the Angels because they weren't really competing at the time. And I was like, oh, that's kind of lame. Because would they really do this? I don't know. Maybe they're deluding themselves into thinking that they're still in. I think they're like 8 games out of the wild card or something like that. But the reason that I ended up pulling the trigger isn't just because I wanted to get out from under it. But I was pretty convinced. In fact, we're better than them now. Wow. I was pretty convinced that he was going to opt out anyway. So I feel like we were going to be able to get out from under this contract one way or the other, even if we had just waited out the rest of the year. Because he was having such a good season. Now, maybe not. 18, 16, 15. Maybe he wouldn't think that he could get more than that. But I feel like if he'd have kept on the trajectory that he was on, he would have probably opted out, especially if he hated pitching on our team. I don't know for sure. But that was kind of why I justified it in the end, even though it's not the best move from the Angels' perspective because they weren't competing. If they were competing, I'd have had no reservations about it. But I had a little trepidation. In the end, I still did it. Y'all can let me know if you think it's super janky. I'll wear that one if you do. But I'm always trying to make sure we don't do anything that's too outlandish. I think this one is definitely on the line, but hopefully you see where I was coming from with that and why I went ahead and did it. Then we claimed Jalen Beeks off of waivers. Another guy that seems to always get waived, and I really like him. He's got a great profile. I mean, I've been mentioning stoppers all the time this episode. I'm going to say it again because he's a lefty stopper just waiting to happen. And in fact, he was absolutely cooking for 7 2/3, but we flew too close to the sun. Shoulder inflammation, 4 months, murked. That sucked. So we'll see what he looks like when he gets back from the injury. That was kind of a bummer, but I do like Jalen Beeks. He's often available. Check in with the Rays in your sim. I mean, he's probably way too good for the game, to be honest. I'm not quite sure that he should have skills at that level. Does he really miss bats at that kind of clip? I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, he's got an 8.1 K9 this year, a 10.3 last year, and 12.1 in 19 innings from 2020. He didn't pitch in 2021. So I guess if they're basing it off of 22 and 20, it makes some sense. But I never think of him as like missing a ton of bats. I think of him as like a really solid lefty opener follower type guy for the Rays. But either way, I'll take what they give us in the game, and they have Jalen Beeks as kind of a stud. Unfortunately, he's out for a while here. It might really ding him with his profile because it's a shoulder inflammation for 4 months, but here's hoping it doesn't. So that catches you up on everything. It's been, I wouldn't say a super eventful season, but we pretty much threw it here. We are 62 and 72, sitting third in the division, mostly because it's a bad division. The funny thing is we are in like fringe contention, which is why I didn't sim all the way to the end, just in case a miracle happens. Now, I'm not expecting that to happen, but let's go ahead and see what's up. We got the White Sox for 3 coming up. We're heading out to their place. We win the first game. We win the second. Can we get a sweep on them? We cannot, but we'll take the series. We just win series, baby. We'll take an off day, and we'll head out to New York to face the Yankees. Let's see what those emails were about. Oh yeah, some of the scouting reports we were looking for. Let's see if Batanti changed at all. His current contact and potential contact both go up. You love to see it. What about Antico? Hook 'em horns, baby. His power potential goes... No, that's from June, so nothing changed in this report. Winokur, he gets potential I and his overall potential. Boom, love to see it. And then Goldner, he loses overall 5 points for no reason. Okay, whatever. So now we head out to face the Yankees, and then we got the White Sox coming back to our place after this. We lose the first game. We lose the second. And we get swept. Okay, that's more in line with what should be happening. We have no chance at a wild card. Our only chance is to win the division. We need the Twins to like fall apart. I don't even know if I want to make the playoffs. I mean, of course I do, because making the playoffs is always cool, but like not what I expected to even be in fringe contention. Little up and down. Oh no, that's from June. Never mind. Smithwick doesn't change. Carraway's scouting report does change. So his eye drops, his current eye, but his current and potential contact go up. His potential overall goes up as well. And then we've got Guerrero, our new guy. His potential eye goes down. Boo. And then, Malloy and Kyle Nicholas get smoked in a brawl there. Now, Malloy's having a good season. Wonder if we should call him up. I mean, again, I don't want to pretend that like we're really in contention. We're not. By the way, the Mudhens are playing well. Seawolves are fine. Whitecaps. Here's the thing. I have struggled throughout my Sims just in general. I feel like I'm okay at developing players. I don't want to say I'm all that great at it, but like we develop guys. You know, I put the money in and I get the good coaching and everything. But I do have problems with my minor league teams being awful, especially from high A and down. And I'm talking like 200, 300 type win percentages. So the fact that none of the teams are in that sort of realm right now is really good. I'm looking at a 441 and I'm like, that team is killing it, dude. So here's hoping that I can build off of this, because right now it's going pretty well and I don't want to be the reason, because that can help stunt your guys. Overall, the success is not the end all be all, but it's if your guys hate losing and they want to gouge their eyes out because they're losing damn near every game, that can stunt your players. So you don't want that. Let's just check the waiver wire here real quick just to see if anything's popping up. You never know, y'all. Now, usually I think when you're doing a rebuild, the first 2 seasons, you can probably find guys that will fit your team. By then, by that 3rd season, if your rebuild is going the way it should be, and you hope it is, you're probably not finding guys that much anymore, because a lot of it's bullpen. Like that's how I build most of my bullpens, is to pick up supplemental pieces from the waiver wire, like a Jalen Beeks. So I think that's the best usage of the waiver wire. We get the White Sox again. By the way, I don't think we get the Twins at all. So even if we were kind of chasing this down, we never get to actually face the team that we're chasing. It doesn't matter, though. We're not going to win. But let's just keep going here. The White Sox are going to have a rubber game against us, and we take it. Let's go. So we take 2 series against them. We've got Cincinnati now. Are they any good? Nope. They're 66 and 79. Let's see what we can do against them. We lose the first game. We lose the second. And we salvage the last one. We head out to the Angels. We got a double dip in LA. And we lose the first one and second one to the Angels. And we salvage one. The Dodgers. Badu. 5-week foot injury. That sucks. You know what? That might get Malloy up. I think I'll call up Justin Henry Malloy. I'm really excited about this pickup in real life. I thought these kind of supplemental pickups, the small trades, are the kind that I really want to see Scott Harris and company do, because that's how I think they're really going to be able to turn this thing around. Obviously, you're going to need to hit big on your big draft picks and things like that, but some of these supplemental guys that they pick up, getting them to pop is going to be huge for turning this ship around, because things are bad right now. There's no reason to mince words with it. It's not good, and that's how they're going to be able to turn things around, I believe, with guys like that. So we'll see what he can do for us. We're a little heavy right now in AAA with 20 players, 20 hitters, I should say. I wish it was a couple fewer. We have 14 pitching. I wish it was more balanced, right? If we're going to have 34, give me 17 and 17. But that's okay. 20 is about the max, so I'm not worried about it too much right now. Plus, we're not going to make a move with a couple weeks left in the season. So, let's see. Malloy. Let's put 2 in Malloy. Let's put Carpenter in to start. And we'll put McKinstry up here batting second. And then we'll let Malloy start against lefties. We will get him in every 3rd against righties. And then at 3rd, let's get him in. What? Did that not work? Let's get him in there every 2nd. He and Maton can just flip. Maton is back up to about league average for this. Wait. It says 98 here. Oh, that's versus right. Okay, so he's holding his own against lefties. That's good for Maton. He's been kind of an even guy. Wait. Okay. Help me understand this, y'all. 98 against righties, 99 against lefties for a total of 91. What? Something's off there, y'all. That's not quite checking. It's got to be including his minor league numbers. I bet that's what it is, right? Has to be. Let's do major league splits. Major league, he's 102 against righties, 102 against lefties, 99. Okay, we're not going to spend a bunch of time trying to figure that out, but that is bizarre. That is absolutely bizarre. We're out to face the Dodgers now. We win the first game. We lose the second game. Casey Mize is back. Let's put him on a rehab. Maybe he can help out the AAA team if they're in the playoffs. Or they're going to be making the playoffs, I think. Let's just take a quick gander. Wait. What am I trying to do here? Go to the Mud Hens. They are 83 and 61. Yeah, they're definitely making the playoffs. And then maybe Casey Mize could help him out. Because I'm not really worried about him getting 2 weeks in the majors or whatever. Like, who cares? Let's re-scout him after the injury. Let's see what's going on. Basically a lost season. But maybe he can get a little playoff action, help out the AAA team. Scouting on Malloy. Nothing changes there from September. Can we take the Dodgers series? Give it to me. This is a hell of a West Coast swing. We do not win. We get 4 at Oakland now, and then we'll come over 2 series, finish it up. Oakland is bad, but they're just kind of regular bad. They're not catastrophic, holy shit, how are you the worst team in the universe type bad. We win the first game. We drop the second 1-0. We drop the third 2-1. Please give me a split here. Okay, thank you. 3-0 win. 4 close games against them. And again, even if we had lost that series, it wouldn't be as embarrassing as losing to real-life Oakland because we're not that much better than them. So I still didn't want to, though, at all. Look at Stanton leading the league in homers with Max Muncy. You love to see it. All right, we got Casey and Cleveland to close it out. Let's go ahead and finish up the regular season. We'll put a bow on this episode. Oh, Riley Green, that sucks, man, because just, you know what? We're gonna finagle it here. We're just gonna sit him because I don't want to put another IL stint on his ledger if we can avoid it, because that increases injury frequency in the future. So I figure if we just kind of just ignore it. We only have 6 games left or 5 games left. We don't have to pretend that it exists, and hopefully it doesn't make him susceptible to more injuries too much. Now, I think just the injury itself adds to your potential injury in the future, but I think going on the IL is like a level worse. Now, I am speculating on that, but I believe that's how it plays out. We do take the series against KC. Last series against Cleveland here. We'll look at the standings. Then I'll do playoffs and awards, and that'll open episode 3. We'll go ahead and cap it here in just a moment. Lose game 1 against Cleveland. Let's flip over to October. We got this game and 1 more, and then we'll see who makes the playoffs and all that. I'll review this later. I mean, I am interested in the player development reports, but not as much at this point in the year because a lot of these are major leaguers. They're fine. Nothing really jumps out, so I don't think we need to zero in on it. Mize coming off the injury, nothing changes because this is the July report. So, okay, good. Usually off the injury, it can go sideways, so that's nice. It is a rubber game. Oh, no, we lost against Cleveland. We lost both, so it's not a rubber game. Last game of the year, 6-4 win. So we go out on a high note, so to speak, a 1-game high note. All right, so we finished 74 and 88. Not too bad. I'll take a mid-70s win type of season for the real-life team as well. I would love that. I just want them to play competitive baseball. And like I said, in real life, they have been here in May, heading into June, and that's all we're looking for. Dodgers go 105 wins, Braves go 102, so 2 100-win ball clubs. Cubs win the Central. Rangers hold on, go 92 and 70 to win the West. Twins look a lot more respectable with a 7-game winner there, and doesn't look as close as it was up until about September with an 89 and 73. That's a perfectly respectable playoff record. In fact, they're not even the worst division winner now compared to the Cubs. And then 97 and 65 for the Rays. Red Sox, Jays, and Astros get the wild cards. D-backs, Padres, and Giants. Wow, the West. really taken over, and it helps when you have a 100 loss team in your division in the Rockies there, giving you plenty of extra dubs. Even with the schedule not being as unbalanced as it was previously, you still play your division more. And then the Nats also lose a hundo, so do the Royals. So 3 100 loss teams, 2 100 win teams. We have a decent season. Do we get any top threes anywhere? Probably not. And I'm not going to lose my mind about that, except we do get one. Alex Lang ties for the league lead in shutdowns. That's a win probability added statistic based on how well you do when you come in the game. And with 106 innings and a 195 ERA, that makes sense. He only had 14 saves, so the fantasy folks hated me for that, but I don't care. We're trying to win ball games, and Alex Lang was excellent. So we'll do team review, like leaders review in case there's anything crazy across the entire league, playoffs, and awards next time out. That'll be the main focus. We'll start to get in, and we'll set up our game plan for this first big offseason, because the 2024 offseason really going to help us kind of lay our foundation for where this rebuild's going to go. What kind of money will we get? What kind of trades are we going to do? We'll get into all of that in episode 3. Thank you all so much for watching. Hit a like, hit a subscribe. We will get more consistent with the Tigers and Rockies episodes. I'm mostly going to be recording on Tuesdays and be able to record like a couple episodes of each. But this past Tuesday, I was out helping my mom out of the house pretty much all day. So that kind of set everything back a little bit. Wasn't really able to catch up here until Friday and the weekend. So pardon me on that, but I promise you'll start to see the consistency rolling out starting the week of, the 29th there with Memorial Day. So I'll be able to record some then, as well as that Tuesday, and really get things going here to where you're getting the consistent episodes of the Colorado mini series and the Tigers long term. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.